Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to make some cool adaptive presets for Lightroom Classic that can speed up your post-processing workflow and enable you to spend less time here in front of the computer and more time out there taking photographs. These little presets are going to leverage some of the new tools in Adobe Lightroom Classic, the AI masking tools, but it also uses some of the older traditional masking tools. But I'm going to shut up now. We'll get into Lightroom and I'll show you how to make them and to use them. So here are the little presets that we're going to make today. I should say up front, if you can't be asked to make these yourself and you just like to know how you make them, then I will be providing a download link in the video description down below this video, and you'll be able to download and use them yourself. Okay guys, so the first one we're going to look at is the sky and landmark preset. So here it is in my sidebar. If I click that, you can see over on the right hand side here we've got no masks at present. If I click the link, magically we get new masks, one for the land, I'll show you the overlay, and one for the sky that looks like that. This is incredibly simple to make, but extremely useful, because if you've made these masks, then you can start doing more targeted processing on your photographs. So the first thing we do, obviously, is just click on this little button that says sky. And because we're going to be saving these as a preset, it's important to name these things so you know what you're dealing with. So I'm going to call that one sky. And then easy as just click on duplicate and invert mask, and that gives us the land. And I'll just name it like so. So there's our two masks. How do you get into an adaptive preset? Easy. Go over here to the little plus sign on the presets toolbar, click create preset, check none. We don't want anything else selected at the present time. All we want is masking land and sky, and this will obviously reflect the names you chose when you made these two masks previously, so it might say something slightly different in there. Once you've got those selected, you can give them a name and click the create button and it will save it over here. Okay guys, moving swiftly on, let's create a nice radial vignette using the kind of super mask functionality with the radial mask in Lightroom, rather than the very crude vignette tool, which always places a center of interest slap bang wallop in the center of a photo. You may want the point of interest somewhere else, and these radial vignettes using radial masks in Adobe Lightroom are a much more flexible way of vignetting your image and leading people's eyes into the image. So here is my mask. I will click it and we can see them appear over on the right here. So we have two. We've got this vignette and we've got the anti-vignette. The way I use these is I darken the edges slightly. Subtlety is the key here, my friends. Just a little bit goes a long way. I add some darkness to the periphery of the image, and then I click on the anti-vignette and I boost the brightness slightly. So you've got this kind of nice double effect going on. If I show you the overlay, you can see what's being affected by that. I'll just click off there quickly and we can see the effect. It's really neat, isn't it? So all these is radial gradients. Click on radial gradient, click in the center of the image, drag out. You don't want to go all the way to the edges because you need some space around the top and the bottom and the sides for the image to be darkened, okay? And also it's a good idea to have a really nice feather here so you get this smooth gradation from the darker edges of the vignette into the lit portions of the image. So don't be afraid to open that vignette up nicely. Because this is a simple radiant mask, if I click show overlay, you can see that what's being affected is what's marked in red here. So this is actually the anti-vignette, the portion of the image which we would brighten. And now what we can do is duplicate and invert that. And this is our vignette. Let's just delete that. and that. And there we have our two. So exactly the same deal for creating a preset of those. Come over here, click the create preset button, check none so that nothing else is selected. Go to masking and you just want your vignette and your anti-vignette. Click the old create button and there it is in your presets. Give it a name and you're good to go. Okay, so we've got our sky and land masks. We've got some nice vignette masks. How about some luminosity masks? Now, luminosity masking is an extremely powerful tool, very popular with the Photoshop crowd. You can do luminosity blending, which is quite a tricky process, but it gets really beautiful, subtle effects, which is why it's so popular. And while we can't do the kind of luminosity blending that's possible in Photoshop, we can use similar luminosity masks to target areas of specific brightness in our photographs. And to speed up that process, we can have a handy little preset here which will make those masks for us whenever we need them. Now, I've actually created two different kinds of luminosity masks over here. We've got a traditional kind, which is the one where the entire image is affected. And I've also made myself a kind of more targeted version with these luminous masks, which creates three masks for the bright, mids, and dark areas of the image. So let's start with my targeted luminous masks first. And here they are over on the left. If I click the button, you can see we get these new masks here. We've got brights, darks, and mids. So, for instance, if I wanted to add a bit of warmth into the brighter portions image, I can click on this brights mask and just heat it up. And you can see only these brightest parts of the image are being affected by that. Nothing down here in the darker portions of the image is. Similarly, if I wanted to cool off the shadows, the darker areas of the image, I can click on the darks mask here, come down to temperature, and just drag that blue slider down. And you can see it's a great way of getting a beautiful natural look to your landscape photos. So how do you make these masks? Easy as, my friends. Let's click on this brights one and you can see what's going on down here. This is a luminance range mask. And what we've done is we've set it to only select the brightest portions of the image. And we put a nice feather on it so that it's not harshing. You don't get any kind of borders basically between areas of brightness in the image. It's a beautiful smooth gradation across that luminance range. So we'll create a new mask. It's a luminance range mask. What we're going to do is drag this slider here, this little button down the bottom here to the midpoint, and then we're going to drag in this feathering so we've got a nice drop off. So it's only the brightest portions of the image and then it's feathered out to the middle here, and then that would be our bright. So I can show you if I come down to the color temperature, the same deal. I'm just heating up the brightest portions of the image. And to create your other mask, you just rinse and repeat. So we do another luminance range mask. This time we're going to drag in from that side. We're going to grab this feather here so it's a nice smooth gradation, and that is just the darker portions of the image. And I'm sure you can guess where we're going with the mids. Yep, same deal, luminance range, but this time we've dragged both in. We need to only go in a short distance here because we've got to have room for this feathering. Whoops, drag the wrong thing there. Let's move that back to the center. We drag those out slightly. If I click, and we can then just name that mids. And then again, it's just a simple case of coming over, creating a preset, check none, and then just selecting your darks, mids, and brights, give it a name, luminance masks, saving it, and into the toolkit it goes. Okay, so I mentioned that there's a more traditional kind of luminosity mask, one that affects the entire image, and I've got those in this little preset here. If I click that and come over to the brights here, and I'll show you the luminance range that we're targeting. So if I wanted to put some more heat in the sky, just come to the brights, come to the darks, cool them off a little bit, and it's a beautiful, subtle effect. So here's how you make your own. Click on luminance range. This time we're going to grab the feather tool, drag it all the way to the right, and then drag this slider down to the left, and I can show you we've just got the bright areas of the image selected. So that's the bright luminosity mask. Let's make a dark one. Click luminosity range again, grab the feathering tool, drag it all the way in, and then drag this bottom pointer over to the right. And then if I click on luminance map, you can see we've only got the dark. So these are our brights and these are our dark. Of course, we're making presets, so go over to the create preset button, go masking. We don't want any of those, we just want the darks and brights. Give it a name, save it to the toolbox. So as I said, guys, the beauty of these kinds of presets is that they are adaptive. They will change according to the photo you're editing at the time. And so you can apply them on the fly, or you can apply them during the import process. Even the non-AI mask tools can have some flexibility in them. For instance, the Radial Vignette we used before, which we created, can change orientation depending on whether you're editing a landscape photo or a portrait photo. So for instance, if I click on a portrait oriented image here and click on my Radial Vignette, you can see that it's changed. It's adopted the proportions of the image. So there you go, guys, 4 powerful visual presets that I'm sure can really bring a bit of flow to your post-processing and let you spend less time sat in front of Adobe Lightroom and more time out there taking amazing photos. And that will do us for this video, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have and you've got value from it, please do click the old like button at the bottom of the screen there and subscribe to my channel for more generalized photography bollocks, videos and drones. Until the next time, guys, ta-ta.